Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you for joining us here on the program once again. Our guest today is Dr. Morton Tavel. He's joining us here on the program to talk about his brand new book. It's entitled Health Tips, Myths, and Tricks, a Physician's Advice, Health Information to Liberate Us from Snake Oil. He's also the author of Snake Oil and Hell in the Heavens. Welcome to the program, Dr. Morton E. Tavel. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're in the information age, and even though we're in this age where we're getting information instantaneously of all sorts from all different platforms and sources, why is it that many of us as health consumers are still basically in the dark ages when it comes to understanding some of the myths and some of the tricks, some of the snake oil that's out there?
Yeah. Well, Neil, I have to say, in most cases in our society, doesn't it often boil down to money? But let's go beyond that. First of all, there are strong monetary incentives to allow for the creation of the selling of ineffective and sometimes dangerous products, especially the so-called dietary supplements. Lack of effective government regulation only makes this problem worse. Without practical means to curb the promotion of such products, they reach conventional pharmacies and outlets, conveying the misconception that they are safe and effective. Nothing could be further from the truth. You and I could walk through the aisles in standard pharmacies and outlets and look at the various products that are out there mixed in with what we accept as standard like the Tylenols and the aspirins and things of that nature. And there are all kinds of herbal supplements, you might say, that are out there that have not been vetted, that they're not necessarily safe. In some cases, they're even dangerous. And we don't really have a good control of that. The second problem is the so-called authorities, often without any credible scientific background, gain a foothold in the media, and with emphatic, repeated, and forceful messaging seem to attract large numbers of adoring followers that believe their advice to be valid. And then they're willing to spread this belief to others, and certainly social media in this day and age compounds this problem even further. Thirdly, since most illnesses and symptoms resolve spontaneously without any treatment, anything that's done prior to any improvement is often erroneously thought to be the cause of this apparent benefit, so that relief can be attributed very often to just natural course of illness. And this also making the problem even worse is a so-called placebo effect. That is the control of the mind over the bodily symptoms that make things get better when we think we've done something the right way. Nothing, again, could be further from the truth, leading to lots of problems in our society. So these are just some of the superficial points that should be mentioned, that we're still in the dark ages with regards to health and wellness issues.
When you talk about the dark ages, it's not that we don't have the information, but it seems like the information has been twisted and turned and manipulated to such a degree that you can't trust the folks that you believe that you can trust. What type of a doctor are you, if I may ask?
Internal medicine and cardiovascular disease, both. So I cover a wide spectrum of problems, which gives me somewhat of a platform to come out and talk about these things. Also, my background is associated with my interest in seeing misconceptions out there. Years of practice led me to believe that there are all kinds of misconceptions, and so that I went into the psychological literature and talked to psychiatrists and discussed these matters to see what makes people tick, that makes them go in the wrong direction. That's why I wrote not only this book, but also the snake oil book, which is an expose of that kind of reasoning that we are all subject to.
Being a physician yourself and having, years and years of knowledge and experience in the industry, would you say that most of the tricks and the snake oil is coming from outside the industry, or are there elements within the industry that are perpetuating some of these myths and tricks, thereby preventing a lot of us from being healthy as we can be?
Most of it is coming from outside the industry. where we have monetary interest, as I indicated. But I have to say that the medical profession itself bears some responsibility for this, because we often are misled into thinking things are working when they are not necessarily, for reasons that I just mentioned about the placebo effect. And then we tend to be pushed, because of time limitations often, into prescribing treatments that are not necessarily in the best interest of the patient, but are, because of time constraints, we are kind of forced into writing a prescription where that's not necessarily the right thing to do. So it is a complex question, and it requires a good deal of time to address, which unfortunately we're limited at this time.
At the outset of our conversation, you mentioned that most conditions resolve themselves spontaneously without doing anything at all. That being said, why do you think that it is that these reports, this information that we get, contradicts itself? And what do you hope to do with your book as far as pinpointing attacking, alleviating some of that confusion with your book, Health Tips, Myths, and Tricks, A Physician's Advice? Well,
yeah, that's a very important question, and something that you almost have to read the whole book to understand that issue. Unfortunately, time restraints. I'm going to have to sign off very shortly, but I would refer any interested individual in this to the entirety of the book. But very often we deal with that specific question. So I have to sign off, and I hate to do that because I really enjoyed talking with you.
Well, I thank you for joining us here on the program today. Where can our listeners get a copy of your book?
Through the standard outlets. Amazon and Barnes & Noble through the internet is easily obtained.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm in conversation with Dr. Morton E. Tavel, the author of Snake Oil and Hell in the Heavens, and the brand new book, Health Tips, Myths, and Tricks, A Physician's Advice, Health Information to Liberate Us from Snake Oil. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Transcripts and audio of the program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.
Thank you for listening to Health Professional Radio. We're very proud to be an independent broadcaster providing our content free of charge to you, the listener. One of the ways that we're able to remain free and independent is by having people like you become patrons. You can support Health Professional Radio simply by visiting hpr.fm and clicking the button that says Become a Patron. Your patronage of even just $1 a month lets us know that you're there, which in turn makes us more valuable to advertisers. And, of course, if you're able to afford more, then we would certainly appreciate the support. My name is Toby Longhurst from Health Professional Radio. Please visit hpr.fm, click the Become a Patron button, and support us if you can.